In the speed-running game Meowmentum, the player can activate floating orbs to quickly dash to them, and is even able to string dashes together to travel very quickly. Using FMOD, I have set it up so that consecutive orb dashes pitch up the primary sound effect along a chord progression that follows the music key of the music currently playing in the game. The relevant FMOD event is called Orb Break. In Orb Break, what's important is that we have an event instrument and a command instrument. The event instrument calls the Orb-Manager FMOD event. In Orb-Manager, it also calls for an event. The event it calls for is dependent on the music key parameter. The music key parameter is controlled in the music event. In the music event, we have command instruments for each different piece of music to set the music key parameter to their appropriate value. So for example, the first one is set to A flat major, second G major, third B minor, and the practice music, which I'll show later, is an F major. Let's go back to the Orb-Manager event. Let's say that the music key parameter is set to A flat major. It will play the Orb-A flat major event. Now, as you can see, it is using a parameter sheet, orb note number, and its default value is 0. So you might think when it's played, it'll only play this empty column. However, if we go back to Orb Break, you'll remember that we have a command instrument. And this command instrument increments that same parameter, orb note number, by 1. So in reality, before Orb-Manager or the Orb-A flat major event is called, this value will have been set to 1. And we will hear this sound. Now for each consecutive orb dash, we will hear the next column of sounds, and etc. Now, as you can see by the track names, these are actually sequenced in an arpeggio or chord sequence appropriate to the A flat major scale in this case. You might also see that only one track is playing at any one time. This is so that multiple chord progressions are not being played simultaneously. Now, what controls the volume is the random chord number parameter. Now, you might be wondering, how does the orb note number reset itself to 0 when the consecutive combo has been broken? And how is the random chord number parameter randomized like its name implies? Well, we have to know that when the combo is broken, that is when a non-orb dash action has been taken. So, like footsteps, jump, land. And instead of doing any programming in Unity for that, we can use command instruments to set these values within our FMOD events. Now let's look at one of those. So we have the footstep event here. Within this reset track, we have 2 command instruments. One for orb note number, which will set the value of it to 0. We also have a command instrument for random chord number, which will randomize the value between 0, 1, and 2. So let's play the event and see what happens to the values of those 2 parameters. As you can see from the yellow dots, the orb note number has been set to 0, and the random chord number has been set to 2. So, next time that orb-A flat manager is called, it will play this third track. So now let's see what it sounds like when I do consecutive orb dashes. And let's see what happens if I don't do them consecutively. As you can see, only when they are done consecutively do they pitch up in the sequence. Now, you might remember that I mentioned a practice mode in the music event. In practice mode, you can play with checkpoints. And as you might remember, practice mode is in F major. So now when I switch to it, orb dashes will sound distinct because they are now using F major chords. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message.